I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, one of her advocacy turning trials into triumphs. At age of 61, she committed suicide attempt survivor and voice of a mental health and award-winning podcast. No other than Miss Gretchen
Thank you
Schoser.
so much for having me.
Welcome on an abstract essay, Miss Gretchen. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes, so my name's Gretchen Schoser, and at the age of 61, I decided to step away from corporate America and open up my own business. Um, but the journey didn't start there. The journey started way back in December of 2022. I'm a suicide attempt survivor, and thank God for 988, I am alive today and very thankful to be alive. There was that glimmer of hope that things were going to get better, and they did. They got far more better than I ever thought they would. And I took an early retirement from my job of 15 years in April of 2023. Went to go work for a small consulting firm. That was all well and good until they got picked up by one of the top five consulting firms. And I decided I didn't want to do that because, you know what? At that time, I was 61. And I decided that I was gonna open up my own business, and it is the coolest thing I've ever done. Um, I took all that adversity from the last quarter of 2022 and turned it into something beautiful.
Something beautiful indeed. And let's celebrate your business, being entrepreneur, being a podcaster. Let's celebrate Miss Gretchen, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today let's talk about inspiring, challenging, and nuanced journey of building resilience and starting over at the age of 60. Tell us, what are the catalysts that made you decide to start over rather than simplify, wind down? What is the voluntary leap or necessary push?
For me, it all stemmed around my own mental health. There's still so much stigma and shame out there, and I wanted to, share my journey and let people know that even extroverted people get depressed. Nobody knew how depressed I was. Absolutely no one. And I also wanted to be able to laugh about it because here's the cool thing about laughter. It, releases that cortisol, gets some serotonin going, and it's a natural healer. And that's part of how the podcast started. But my life's not just about my podcast. My life is about starting this business. And I get to merge two things that I love the most: technology and mental wellness. And when I decided to open my business, I wanted to make sure that those were the two things that I could, really jump on and get encouraged and find new things and try new things. I worked in corporate America for 45 years. And so, I have all that lived experience of things that worked, things that didn't work. And you know what? Being an entrepreneur, it's not everything it's cracked up to be, but I get to learn something new every single day. And that's what inspires me. That helps with my resilience. And I still go to therapy at least once a month, sometimes twice. And I'm finding new ways to bring joy into my life. I live in upstate New York. I get to get outside, smell some fresh air. I get to go see farm animals, and that that joy kind of inspires me to do better and help people, not just people but companies. I'm really focused on small business, 1,000 employees or less, making sure they have the right tools in place for their workers when it comes to mental health, because right now the world is kind of on fire. So employees don't have just their regular day-to-day job stress, but there's a lot of external factors coming in, and I just want to make sure that those employees and employers that it's sustainable for them, because if your workforce isn't mentally healthy, it's going to really affect your bottom line.
Miss Gretchen, society often sends a message that our most productive years are behind us after 60. How did you quiet that external noise and internal lies and believe that you still had more to contribute and achieve?
In my field, I'm a subject matter expert on the tech side, and I am a naturally inquisitive. I love to learn. I love to teach myself. And you know what? I think these are my best years because right now I don't have all the external noise from, a manager or an angry customer. It's just me and my computer and my keyboard. And I think that, by the time you get to 60, most people are like, okay, I'm done. I'm fully checked out. But for me, I like to work. I like to keep my mind busy because if my mind's not busy, then I'm doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing. And I get excited. Like I'm learning new tools every day. I'm learning how to use new software, new technology. I think life is about learning, right? And
Yes.
we take the good with the bad. When I decided to open my company, there were a lot of things I didn't want to do. Right, I'd done it earlier in my career, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to do things that made me happy, brought me joy. And I think that if you're sitting out there and you're around the age of 60, like don't give up on yourself. Keep learning, keep your mind going because being naturally inquisitive is exciting. Like I'm trying out new tools. I'm doing a lot with AI now, and like who at 60 is doing that? Even it's a 62-year-old. But I had all that life experience that taught me, what to look for in software, what not to do. And I'm pulling from different areas of my 45-year career in corporate America and putting it back into my business and back into myself. And giving myself some confidence, but I don't do it all by myself. I have coaches, I have friends, I have therapists to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my mental health.
What a specific fear was the most daunting to face at the beginning of this journey? And what was the first step you took to move past it?
The very first thing that I did was I talked to my wife and I talked to a couple of friends, and I wanted to just try and justify what I was doing, and I got nothing but positive feedback from people. I've had failures, and I think one of my biggest fears was failing. But you know what? You don't know if you're going to fail if you don't try. And that was the big scary thing for me, and also making money. But it's not all about making money. I think part of it was being able to bring back joy into my life.
Bring back joy for sure. And resilience is more than a buzzword, it's a practice skill. What specific tools or coping mechanisms from your 6 decades of life become most valuable assets in this new chapter?
Well, right after my suicide attempt, I started therapy, and my therapist taught me about three things. First one was setting boundaries, right? Um,
Yes.
Making sure that I, say no when I should. Being an empath, being able to put my shield up a little bit faster so I don't get drug into the drama. And then the third thing was journaling, and I started journaling in the morning and I journal at night now, and it just kinda helps me get all that stuff out of my head. It also helps me kind of plan for, what is, Gretchen 2.0 going to look like, and what do I want to do with the rest of my life.
Gretchen 2.0 for sure. And how did definition of success change when you embark on this journey later in life? What is about achievement and more about purpose or fulfillment?
For me, it's more about purpose and not really achieving things. Um, when I first started my podcast, my wife used to laugh at me all the time. She would be like, I've never seen you work so hard on something you're not getting paid for. And for me, it was never about getting paid, it was more passion because I saw the need. And the same way with my company, I saw the need. I mean, there's a ton of consultants out there, but some of those consultants are not subject matter experts in their field. On the tech side of my business, I am a subject matter expert. And on the wellness side, I guess I kind of am a expert at that too because I lived my own trauma. But I clawed my way back up, and I get to sit in the seat every day and just create. And I get to meet amazing people every day. And that was part of like what my journey is kind of opening up and taking my mask off because as an extrovert, we are very good at masking up every day. And now I take my mask off and people see me for who I am. And I think that was a benefit for me.
A benefit indeed, for sure. And starting over after requires learning new skills. Can you tell us about a time that you felt like completely a beginner again and how you navigate the vulnerability that comes with that?
So right after I opened my company, well, not really. It was probably like about 2 years into our podcast. I was teaching myself how to use ChatGPT and what the benefits were. And gosh, I wish I had that back when I was in school. I probably would have like passed trig the first time. But learning new tools and using them for good, not using it as a crutch, but using it so that like it teaches me things. And then I would go out to YouTube and I would learn new things there. And I'd go out to LinkedIn Learning and learn new things there. And the more I played with it, the more excited I got. I mean, technology is changing. It changes every day anyway, but jumping on the bandwagon early, I think helped me. I use it for everything. I use it for my podcast. I use it for my business. I use it for personal life. And the fact that I am teaching people how to use AI or use ChatGPT, I think that's really cool because I open people's eyes up to new things. A lot of people were afraid of AI and still are, but it's not going to take away jobs because you know what? You still need a human to do most things. And for me, that was that was it. Is just learning how to use AI. It's it makes me happy.
Definitely. And Miss Gretchen, tell us how have the hard-won lessons from your previous failures or setbacks in life proven to be your greatest guide in this new venture?
I'm going to go back to my suicide attempt because I was at the lowest part of point of my life. I'd never been like that before, and I knew I never wanted to go back. And that's why I really dug into therapy and really like turned inside and looked at myself and found the things that I knew I needed to change to have a happier life.
Hmm. What is seemingly insignificant skill or piece of wisdom from your 40s or 50s that has become unexpectedly crucial to your success now?
The thing that drives me now is, back in my 40s, 50s, all the way up until I was almost 60, is I was chasing the money and chasing the dream. Now I chase joy. And it's such a different thing to chase joy because it makes my heart smile.
Definitely. And Miss Gretchen, as a podcast host, entrepreneur, and coaching other people to will to live better, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My short-term goal is to finish up the two apps that I've already started creating. My long-term goal is to coach more people and teach them about finding joy because without joy, it's really hard to stay prosperous. Even on your hardest days, you can still find joy. And I remind myself of that every day on my computer screen. I always have what my why is and the things that bring me joy.
Mhm. Yes. Good luck to your goals, and looking forward for more success, Miss Gretchen. And can you please give a piece of advice for those people out there having a difficulties to have the meaning of life?
The one piece of advice I have, and especially if you're here in the US or in Canada and you're really, really struggling, pick up the phone and call 988. It's not just a suicide hotline, it's a crisis hotline. There are people there that can help you every single day. And then the other thing would be like, don't give up on yourself and don't give up on the world because the world needs you and you are enough. You are wanted. You are needed in this world. And
Yes.
and do things that make your heart smile.
Do something that you like best.
Yes.
Truly, truly inspiring advice, Miss Gretchen. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
There's a couple of books. So not so much a book, but um Simon Sinek. I follow him a lot. Brene Brown. I'm not a huge reader. I'm more into podcasts lately.
Mm-hmm.
um But Simon Sinek he's just a good guy, right? And if you get a chance to listen to go out to YouTube and look for, Simon Sinek's 8 Minutes, it will remind you that, we're all here to help our friends out. And if someone calls you and needs help, give them that 8 minutes because you might save their life.
Yes. Give that 8 minutes, even 5 minutes, or even the whole day, just to save the lives, people, just to save lives. So critical. And Ms. Grasjan, thank you so much for that recommended book. And what role has curiosity and a willingness to play played in keeping you energized and engaged throughout this process?
Well, for me, I'm just a big kid. You know what? I'm 62 years old, but on most days I act like a 12-year-old. I continue to laugh. I continue to explore. I'm curious. Stay curious. Like if there's anything out there that you can do is stay curious. Try a new tool, read a new book, find something out of the ordinary that you wouldn't normally do. And that's how I kind of stumbled on AI. Like I wouldn't normally do that, but it brings me a lot of joy and I get to play with it. Like find your inner child and go outside and play.
Yes. Have fun, people. Fun, fun, fun. Because life is too short. For someone listening who is feeling stuck, unfulfilled, or fearful about their future after 60s, what is one small actionable step you should encourage them to take today?
If you're feeling defeated or discouraged, make a list and make it 3 columns. Things that bring you joy, things that don't bring you joy, and things you want to try. And then the things that bring you joy and the things you want to try, go try them. Like the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out, but you're never going to know unless you try.
Yes, try and try and try until you succeed, people. And if you go back and give your 50 years old self a one piece of advice to prepare for this reinvention, what would it be?
Learn how to say no.
And why is that?
Um, you know, I didn't really have boundaries set when I was in my 50s. And, people just expected everything out of me and took and took and took and took. And I just let them take and take and take and take. But, that cost me. It cost me my mental health. It cost me my time away from my wife. It cost me um, not being able to pursue the things that I wanted to pursue.
Mr. Gretchen, how has this journey of reinvention impacted your overall outlook on aging and narrative of what possible in later chapters of life?
It has reminded me that it's cool to be curious like a kid. Um,
Yes,
Remember when you were kids and you would, like, go and do something that somebody told you not to do, and the kind of thrill you got out of that? Well, that's kind of the thrill I get now, but I don't have anybody telling me not to go do it. I just go do it.
just do it because you're happy and having fun.
Yeah.
For sure. So, what has been the most surprising source of joy or satisfaction in this process of starting over?
Wow, that's a tough one because I have a lot, but I think the coolest one is building an app from the ground up, and I used AI to do it, but to see it actually work, it was it reminded me of, like, when I was a kid and I built something from Legos and it had, like, the little motor on it and it actually ran. Well, now that I get that same kind of joy, and I get giddy about it.
And how did the reactions of your peers, friends, or family members impact your journey? Were they a source of support, doubt, or something more complicated?
Um, Incredibly supportive, incredibly. Like, I am extremely blessed in that area. Um, my friends, my family, my former coworkers are all, like, cheering me on from the sidelines. And I amaze them every day because, like, most of them have told me is that they wouldn't have the gumption to do this. And I kind of want to prove the world wrong.
Yes, and you proved them. You're right. Congratulations, Mr. Gretchen. We salute you for doing the right thing. Do you believe the resilience required to start over past 60 is fundamentally different from the resilience we need in our younger years? If so, how?
Yeah, because as you get a little older, or like you get completely burned out, right? And we've been there, done that. When I was younger, I just kind of like let things flow over my back. But now, like, I take a hard stop on things that are going to affect me negatively. And I think that as we get older, we get a little wiser because nobody wants to go back to the stuff that brought us no joy. And we are looking for ways to kind of wind down, but still be able to use our brains.
Interesting, Miss Gretchen. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Gretchen, finally had, what does the next chapter of your journey look like, and how has this experience changed your vision for the future?
Uh, my hope is that, older Americans, older people out there will take the time to learn something new. And I also want to encourage the younger folks out there to don't settle. Like don't be chasing the dream, don't be chasing the money. Chase your joy because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make your heart smile. And future Gretchen, I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm here for the ride and I'm going to learn as much as I can.
Yes, and we salute you again for doing the right thing, Miss Gretchen, and hoping for the best. So tell us, what is all about your website? Inspired excellence, hire better, faster, and what next? Thousands of satisfied clients. What is all about, Miss Gretchen?
So, in the field that I worked in prior to becoming a solopreneur entrepreneur, I worked for UKG, which is a software HR payroll software company, and I am certified in their platforms of recruiting and onboarding. And I've implemented customers, I've trained them, I've done system reviews. I worked at UKG for 15 years, and then the wellness side is everything I've learned from the podcast and from my own mental health and helping smaller companies out there so that they can thrive.
Inspired excellence. Miss Gretchen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
There's two places you can reach me. You can reach me at shosersolutions.com, or for the podcast, you can go out to goesoninourheads.net. All my socials are out there. I'd love to hear from you. If anybody wants to chat, book time with me. I give a free 30-minute consult.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Gretchen Schoser, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering business to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Gretchen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.